Oh, that's okay. 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 Can you hear me? Good. All right. Shabbat shalom, everybody, and welcome back. I'm really glad to see you all. I'm glad to be joined here in the Eagle's Nest on the fourth floor with Jonathan Goldstein. And as many of you have met, at least online, digitally, if not in person, Tiffany Halfon. Tiffany's our new program and operations manager, and she's just completing her first week with us, and so far so good. We're doing great. I'm really, as I was saying before, I'm really glad that we had more than a year to practice so that we can easily, get back to online Shabbat. Although I do pray that, once this month comes and it goes, we don't have to return to it again very soon. As you all know, the prayer book is on the website. If you need it, you just go to prayer and you do the drop down menu and you click on prayer book. On that page also is the supplement for this evening as well. Shir Malot is slightly different from what I shared with you. I thought we were doing the Craig Taubman, but turns out we're doing the Debbie Friedman. But anyway, just join in with the chorus. Join in as much as you can. Please mute yourself, but please join us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shir Hamalot Kashuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomi Az Yemalek Topinu L'Shoneinu Rina. One more time, Shir Hamalot.
Shir Hamalot Kashuv
Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomi Az Yemalek Topinu L'Shoneinu Rina. Az Yomru V'Goyim Higdil Adonai L'Asot Melech Higdil Adonai L'Asot Imanu Hayinu Mechim. Shir Hamalot Beshuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomi Az Yemalek Topinu L'Shoneinu Rina. Shuv Adonai Et Shivitenu Kafikim Ba'nehem Azorim Azorim Lerina Lerina Yiksoru. Shir Hamalot Beshuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomi Az Yemalek Topinu L'Shoneinu Rina. No se mezle chazara, bo yavo verina, no se alumota. Shir Hamalot Beshuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomi Az Yemalek Topinu L'Shoneinu Rina. One last time. Shir Hamalot Beshuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomi Az Yemalek Topinu L'Shoneinu Rina.
As we continue with our service, I want to just mention that if there are any problems with sound or video or anything, just send a chat message to Tiffany so that you can get the message easily to her. And she happens to be literally in the same room with us right now, so we can fix any problems if they arise. Speaking of problems, Shabbat is an opportunity to let go of them. Whatever tsuris has weighed you down this week, whatever I don't know, whatever your colleague may have done, or your spouse, or your child, or your friend, things that are weighing heavily on you. Shabbat is this reminder that right now, it's time to let go of it. That doesn't mean you can't pick it up again at the end of Shabbat, Sunday morning. But for right now, let it go. Drop it and move on, because life is so short. I invite you to close your eyes and sit back. Allow the chair or the couch or the stool, whatever you're sitting in, to hold you up. And just listen. I am breathing. I am breathing. A prayer runs through it. A prayer of hope. A prayer of love. A prayer of wholeness and heart. I am hearing. I am hearing. A song runs through it. A song of joy, a song of wonder, a song of thanks and praise. I am seeing. I am seeing. A light runs through it, a light of hope, a light of love, a light of wisdom and grace. I am being. I am being. My life runs through it. A life of mystery, a life of awe and splendor. A life exalting God's holy name. We continue with OZ, a chant about prayer and power, freedom and strength. The words can be found in the supplement. Zimrat Yah Vayehi Yeshua Ozi Zimrat Yah Vayehi Yeshua Ozi Zimrat Yah Vayehi Yeshua Holy Zimradia Vayehi Yeshua Jonia there are so many ways that our lives feel vulnerable and not powerful, especially as we look at the world. It is so challenging to truly channel our power. But one of the most beautiful lessons of Shabbat, and most every Jewish holiday, is lighting lights. I've always loved the teaching that there isn't any amount of darkness that can repel the smallest amount of light. And so if we're ever stuck and we can't figure out what to do, I think Shabbat is this wonderful lesson that reminds us, well, in whichever way it's possible in this moment, light a light, make a light, shine a light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And we continue with Lachadodi, page 4 in the prayer book. Yeah?
That was the Kaddish. I thought it was the Kiddush going. So, we're good. We're so good. We've done
We
this
are
before.
on it.
We've done this before. Yeah. La 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 la
Lachadodi, la 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 likrat kala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, mikabel la 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 lachadodi, la 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 likrat kala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, mikabel la.
Shamor v'zahor b'diburecha yishmi'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'letfilai lai 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 ya la 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 lachadodi ya la 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 likrat kala ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat mikabel la. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor
likrat kala. Ya la 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 la, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala. Gam besimcha u'b'sola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. La 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 l'chadoni, la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ya la 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 l'chadoni, ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. You know, I don't think we say it enough. It is astounding that the words that we sing and we chant and we read each Shabbat, every day, are words that are at least, oftentimes, at least 500 years old. If not 1,000, if not 2,000, if not 3,000. I think it's an astounding thing that Lecha Dodi was developed and written by the Kabbalists, and that tradition of going out and greeting the Sabbath bride, but they were certainly not singing it according to Abby Rotenberg's tune. Right? Abby Rotenberg was some young woman who was born in probably the 20th century, right? She's old. Yeah, 20th century at least, I'm hoping. And who picked up these words and then reformed them and gave them new life. And we sing them and we carry them forward. What a beautiful thing it is to carry this tradition forward. We continue with Baruch Hu. I invite you to stand if you would like, or remain seated, whatever you'd like. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Did we freeze? I think we froze. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la. There you go. Oh, good. You sure? La 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 there are always at least two horizons, the one upon which the sun sets, and the one that proclaims God's majesty, an arc of radiant glory, visible only to those who choose to fly above the clouds, above the mundane, above the steady ticking of the clock, to soar in silence and love. The brilliance of forgiveness, the wonder of gratitude, the luminance of love, all shine without fail. From the horizon of earth to the horizon of heaven, reflected in your heartbeat and in the well of your eyes, emanating from the soul of the universe. Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod. And now the moment you've been waiting for. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. לי, 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 והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לברך. לי, 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 ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופך ובקומך ושכם להיות על ידיך והיו לטפות בעיניך ובקרבתם על מזוזות ביתך על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. לי, 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 well, hello everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We've come to that time in our service when we invite simchas. And at this time, I'm going to ask Terry Kaminsky if she will unmute her video. So maybe we can see her. Maybe she's with Martin. I understand it's Martin's birthday today. Terry, are you there? Terry. Knock, knock, knock.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Good. Is Martin there too?
He is, and I'm trying to get him on.
Well, Martin, I heard that it's your birthday.
Hi.
Hi there. We are so happy to welcome you virtually, if not otherwise. And when is your birthday?
Oh, it's Monday, I think.
We just started celebrating tonight with you.
Excellent, excellent. So Martin gets like a 4-day birthday.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, we are so happy to welcome you. And I want to just recognize Martin in particular, because as I've mentioned before, but I mentioned again, Martin is the leader of the of Interfaith Ministries that is, probably most of society has begun to forget the entrance of thousands of Afghan civilians that have come to the United States. Martin is leading the charge of Interfaith Ministries as one of the agencies in town to help with the absorption of these thousands of Afghan civilians, men, women, children, families. So we recognize you for all the work that you are doing and leading. And
thank you.
Thank you so much for all the good work. We are awed by it. And what a wonderful way to recognize you and to celebrate your birthday. Are there any other big birthdays or birthdays period coming up near anybody?
No,
All right, well, Jonathan, happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday to Maddie, who turned 18.
That's right, Maddie is 18. Congratulations.
And
She's probably not watching us right now, though.
And I just celebrated my 4th anniversary at Cyber Group.
There you go.
Company.
There we go. All right, cool. Well, can we sing happy birthday?
Oh, yes.
Rabbi, it's Martin.
Happy birthday. Everybody unmute yourself so Martin can hear you.
Birthday
To you. Happy birthday,
everyone.
Martin.
Martin.
Happy birthday
To you.
Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach.
Thank you
Happy
very
birthday,
much.
Maddie. Happy birthday, Martin. Happy birthday to anyone else who we missed. Yes,
Rabbi,
Martin.
can you hear me?
Are you taking more Simchas?
Yeah, of course. I can't ever not take simchas. Bring them
Well,
on.
my mother turned 99 in December. And
Wow.
only 99 people, not really. A bunch of people are showing up at my doorstep on Sunday, crossing my fingers, some relatives that she hasn't seen in 5 years. We're at COVID testing at my doorstep if you need a place to test for COVID. No. And we're having a foodless, masked event for her. Drop in, wave, get a picture, and leave. But we're celebrating her 99.
99.
Wow.
Mazel tov.
Amazing.
Those of you that happen to know her, hello.
That's incredible. Incredible. Other simchas? Anybody? All right, well, let's then sing Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osei feleh, Nora tehilot osei feleh, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Ra'u banecha, bokei hayam livnei Moshe uMiriam, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Tehilot feleh, Tehilot feleh, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai Imloch Leolam Vaed. And as we continue into Amidah, if you would like to stand, I invite you to stand. And I want to encourage you to think about what this prayer is about. This notion in Hebrew, it's called Zechut Avot, the merit of our ancestors, the merit of those who came before us, the good stuff that people did that make it possible for us to be who we are in this moment, to recognize the blessings in our lives, and to find strength where maybe we forgot we had it. Bring to mind those who are no longer with you physically, but whose memory remains a blessing.
You are blessed and you are holy. You are blessed and you are praised. You are blessed and you are faithful. For the ones who praise your name, you are kind and you are healing. You are cleansing of my soul. You are loved and pure and gracious. You are real. Make me whole. Adonai Shvatai Titach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Open my lips for your praises and show through your graces. Open up my lips. Open up my lips. You are wise and you are sparing. You are merciful and clear. You are honor perfection. No more wrong directions. I'm loved and I am here. Adonai Shvatai Titach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Open my lips for your praises. They'll show through your graces. Open up my lips. Open up my lips. Open up my lips. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VeHaNorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei HaKol Vezocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Livnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofech Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'naman atah l'chachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh V'kadoshim b'chol yom yalucha salah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
want to make sure that you haven't forgotten to breathe. Shabbat is about breath. It's about drawing in the Shema Amuka, a deep breath, a soulful breath. Spend enough time around people who are ill. Spend enough time in the hospitals, especially now, especially amongst those who have been ill with COVID. If you were ever not sensitive to it, you become all the more so. The act of being able to take a deep breath requires a tremendous amount of health and strength. Just that. Just taking a deep breath. So it's almost like we're taking it for granted when we don't, and we yet can. I want us to focus our attention on those people in our lives and in society for whom taking a deep breath is a privilege, because it's a chore. We pray that they find ease in their breath and find love in those around them, that the anxiety dissipates, and that gift from God of life and breath fills us, giving us strength. Please write into our chat the names of people you are thinking of, needing of healing, of a refu'ah shlema, the ability to just take a deep breath whenever they want. Pray for them as we offer these words. Mishebeira Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Me'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our life a blessing, and let us sing Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Well, it's not the same as it was last year at this time, but it's certainly not where we wanted to be. At the same time, I just have to recognize the power of science and health. You know, the ability for our scientific communities locally and worldwide to make life in the face of COVID so much more survivable and so much more manageable, even in the midst of this awful spike. I joked around at the beginning, but I really mean it. I am so glad that we have the practice, we have the ability to easily switch, to go online when we need to. I think we've managed to solve most of the issues and problems we were having, both video and audio. We went through some dark times at some moments, but we are so glad, and it makes me so happy to see so many of you who have joined us. So thank you for your trust and for your willingness to support us, even when we can't deliver the product we, of course, want to be able to, which is in-person community. But I'm so proud of CSK for how we've been able to transition and roll with changes. You've seen it in our e-letter. All of January, all of our programs will be online. So Shabbat, all of Shabbat, all four over the next, three in January will be online. Journey will be online on Sunday mornings. One thing I want to make sure that you are aware of is I'm starting again to teach a course called Ayeka. The particular theme of this curriculum is called Getting Unstuck in My Relationships. It's going to be entirely online. I'm teaching it through the Melton program and the Samuels Center for Jewish Living and Learning. It'll be on Wednesday nights starting on January 19th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. As I said, all on Zoom, and there'll be two parts. There'll be 6 or 5 classes starting January 19th, 5 Wednesdays in a row, and then again, we'll pick it up, I think, beginning of May for part 2 for another 5 weeks. All on Wednesday nights, 7 to 8:30 p.m. So you come home from work or you come home from errands, and you sit down and you can participate that way. I've been teaching Ayeka for many years, and it is a profoundly engaging and important means for studying Torah, and most importantly, for discovering the Torah inside all of us. Oopsie. Okay. Tonight, we're gonna do what I've coined a Devar discussion. A Devar discussion is a Devar Torah or of sorts, but it's in a discussion format, and I've asked Jonathan Goldstein to join me in this Devar discussion. Some of you may have seen, maybe many of you have seen, it's been quite a bit on social media, and over the last 24 to 48 hours, it's been all over the press anyway, at least online. Most of the big newspapers in the world have been carrying it, at least in the Western world, have been carrying this story, which is that Jon Stewart of the Today Show, what's it called? The Daily Show fame. Jon Stewart did a podcast, and an episode of his podcast, and in it he talked about the troubling depiction of the Gringotts goblins / bankers in the Harry Potter movies, stemming from the Harry Potter books. Now, some of you may not even be familiar with any of what I'm describing, so I'm just going to give you just a little bit of a primer, and that is that Harry Potter. I mean, you've all heard of Harry Potter. In the movie and in the books of Harry Potter, there's a bank, and it's called Gringotts Bank, and there's several times throughout the movies when you see the bank, and the bank is run by goblins, and these goblins are depicted with sort of very, very sharp features, pointy ears, long noses, and of course, and they are the bankers. Now, leaving that aside for a moment, Jon Stewart, in his podcast, very sort of triumphantly described these bankers as there's no way that they're not anti-Semitic, right? That the depictions of them. So just first of all, Jonathan, what's your first thought on this?
Well, so he likened it to this German cartoon,
right?
World War II cartoon,
right?
That
Der Stürmer.
Yes, that likened Jews to goblin, and so made that connection.
Although it didn't liken them to goblins, it likened them to
a
to
certain
the
stature, like a
depiction,
certain- yeah, a certain
right? The
depiction.
depiction
So-
of them, right.
So the first question was, what is my?
What's your
my
first
first
thought?
response?
What was your first thought about it? Like, you watched it,
My first response was, okay, maybe I need to take a deeper look because I wasn't finding that.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't seeing that.
Right.
In Harry Potter.
Me too.
When I read the books, nor when I saw the movies.
Right.
So
yeah.
I wasn't seeing that.
Yep.
So I was like, whoa, did I miss something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think was your first response.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, wait a minute. I've read these books I read these, like, we were really into Harry Potter. I mean, we read the books, we watched the movies many times, right? I mean, I feel like I'm not a Harry Potter. I'm a connoisseur. I'm not an expert.
I'm pretty deep.
But I'm deep. Yeah.
I got my children.
And so I'm reading going, what? Really?
Mm-hmm. So I don't know where when I looked at so you and I were studying this book,
right?
Like we were first we looked at, okay, what did Jon Stewart really say,
right?
And the thing is like, it just seems like this most unlearned statement to make. It's not, felt like upon review he didn't really do any research. It was just something he flippantly said.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's walking back. So my overall challenge with it is if it was so important to you, why are you walking back? Why are you not just like doubling down?
Right.
You're like, no.
Right. Well, what he did was he I don't know if he can. I'm not so sure that he's right. I'm not sure that Newsweek is right. Newsweek in their headline said, Jon Stewart accuses J.K. Rowling of being J.K. Rowling, the author J.K. Rowling, of being anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not sure that I don't think Jon Stewart did directly accuse her of being anti-Semitic, and I also don't think that and I don't think that he didn't. Right? I don't, you know what I mean?
Like, definitely threw shade.
He definitely threw shade at her. Right.
Some shade.
But what is so interesting about this that I want to, the reason why this is important, I think, to enough to talk about. Look, first of all, we're in the midst of the Torah portion bow, and the Torah portion bow is the third Torah portion of the book of Exodus, and we're into the second half of the plagues, and then the Israelites getting to leave Egypt and head into Beshalach, where they will cross the sea.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the story about the Exodus, the story about the Exodus in Exodus is really, and I'm just borrowing, frankly, from Rabbi Yitz Greenberg, who taught that, this is the meta story of the Jewish people, right? Freedom for all people. It's not just about the Israelites, but it's about everyone. So here we are in the midst of this story, and I can't say that this is the reason why Jon Stewart brought it up at this time, right? I don't think so.
But
right?
since he's going there,
you look at the, and I'm not here even to defend J.K. Rowling, except to say that the broad arc of J.K. Rowling's stories is really about, this dream of human freedom, right? It's a dream about people being able to exist in the world without being bullied, without being stereotyped, without being hurt or persecuted, etc. And so this idea that these bankers are necessarily depicted in a way that necessarily needs to be understood anti-Semitically, that's the part that I'm struggling with.
Yeah, and as I was thinking about it today, I'm kind of taking this into, how is Harry Potter not a modernized midrash,
right,
on Bo, right?
Yes,
on a leader with a hardened heart, Tom Riddle, right, who chose to be evil, and only became more and more evil, and ultimately became Voldemort, right?
Right.
A people downtrodden by these rules and by these limitations on their own freedoms, and who find their way through to their own freedom.
That's the story. That's Torah.
That's Bo,
right? That's Bo. That's freedom.
So if anything, it's very Jewish.
Yeah, I've taught that before.
Right.
I've given at least one sermon about how Harry Potter's Jewish.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at it and I'm struggling with it and I'm trying to figure it out. But here's the piece that I think Jon Stewart is absolutely right about. And that is the piece that anti-Semitism is it's so much in the water of Western civilization. It is so much, I was reading an article, there's an article I recommend very highly by Jonathan Tobin, who's a Jewish historian, and he charts the line basically from about the 12th century through the Middle Ages and then up to the Nazis, where this connection between the monstrous caricatures of Jews, where it comes from. And it probably comes from, a poem that's like from the 12th or 14th century, and then it's sort of exacerbated by a Wagner opera, and then it's brought really to full focus by the Nazis, right? But this notion that the Jews are money grubbers, the Jews are people who are to be persecuted, people who are to be kept at bay. My problem with what Jon Stewart has done, but maybe ultimately it can be redeemed, but by pointing at something that is so not meant to be anti-Semitic, we get distracted by all of the
actual
anti-Semitism.
Yeah. I have problems with that on many levels. Number one, I live Lashon Hara, right? So I think before you throw shade at anyone, make sure you got your facts straight, right? Because once you do, you can't untake those words, right?
Right. Right.
And
especially today.
And especially on anti-Semitism. And second, as we were discussing last night, I think if J.K. Rowling was such a ardently committed anti-Semite, she would have minded who she cast or who she allowed to be cast in her films when her books were brought to life. And Daniel Radcliffe, of course, being half Jewish, many of the executives that she worked with at NBC Universal being, Jewish, she would have had an opinion about who she allowed herself to work with, and we would also have other instances of her going off, like Mel Gibson, and we would have other data to back up this trope that Jon Stewart is accusing her of. And secondly, it strikes me like it's a little bit like politics today. It's like, when you look for something, you will find it, right? And it just struck me as like one of those things was like, okay, if you want to say because they were bankers and because they were this kind of downtrodden group and kind of cast aside and relegated to this one area within the magical society, right? They could only be bankers. It was the only job they were really allowed to have. And that is, I don't know if that's anti-Semitic, but it's very historically accurate.
Right.
And if you're, but just because you leverage that, that could be J.K. Rowling saying it's an accurate, even magical society. It's terrible to do that to goblins, much less Jews. You don't know, and there's no record of her saying vice versa. I have more problems with J.K. Rowling's opinions on the LGBT community at the moment than I do on her. She has no history of anti-Semitism.
Right. And what's funny is that I actually don't even care if she's anti-Semitic. That's because I don't think she's an outright Jew hater. I don't think that. But it's so much in the water. We've seen it, how easy it arises. And we do see, with QAnon, right? What's QAnon doing? QAnon has there's nothing original about what QAnon has created. Everything they do, it's recycled anti-Semitism, but it's not officially anti-Semitic.
Right.
But they're just taking it. It's about anybody else, right? And so I think that for me, the thing that I take from this, and I want you to take from it as well, is it's not that important, frankly, whether Jon Stewart intended something or not. It doesn't matter to me whether J.K. Rowling intended something or not. But I do want to encourage us all to remember that there's two things. One is we need to take responsibility for our own stories. And we need to take responsibility for the stories that are told that we don't even pay attention to, but that they're still there. and that they matter, and that they do touch people in ways that can be truly hurtful. And the other piece is that there's a if it's true about us, if these depictions are potentially hurtful about us, then that's necessarily true about others. Or there's necessarily true about anyone else who is persecuted historically, who is oppressed historically. And so I think for me, the bottom line for all this is, let's take story really seriously. Because story is how we understand the world. It is how we project our lives into the world. And I think that, especially as we are just in the first few days of 2022, the stories we tell and retell, not just with our mouths, but with our lives, they create the realities on the ground. And, well, thank you, Jon Stewart, and thank you, J.K. Rowling, and thank you, Harry Potter, for leading us to this conversation. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rabbi?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Who is that?
Carol Park.
Yes, Carol.
This was just an innocent situation that was a life-changing. I was shopping in DSW shoes in December, and this guy came up to me, and he was holding up these boots, and he said, "My daughter bought these, and they remind me of Nazis." She said, "They remind me of Nazi boots. Isn't that funny?" And I looked up in a serious voice and I said, "Not at all. It's not funny at all." And he looked at me and I said, "My father was a Holocaust survivor. I'm Jewish. This afternoon, I'm doing a dedication at the Holocaust Museum." And he said, "I'm so sorry. I never realized." I said, "Your words were painful, they were ignorant, and they were hurtful." Well, we must have spent an hour and a half. And I said, "I'm so glad you said that to me so that I could correct your words."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just an innocent thing at DSW. And that's why our stories and our words are so powerful. And he just, isn't that funny? No, it's not funny. It's
Right.
hurtful and it's so sad. And so it doesn't have to be as broad as Harry Potter. These were his words and those were his thoughts. And I thanked him for running into me. I said, "I'm glad you ran into me."
Yeah, very interesting. Well, with that, we remind ourselves that responsibility is on our shoulders.
Yes.
I invite you to please rise as we continue with Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asan k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ne'emar b'Haya Adonai v'melech al kol haaretz, bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. At this time, we call to mind those who are no longer with us, our loved ones who have passed away from our own lives, but whose memory remains with us as a blessing. I invite you to write those names into our chat as we all together offer these words. You can find the words for Kaddish on page 26. We recite them together. Yikadal v'yikadash Shmei Rabbi. Ba'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh. V'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayid chol Beit Yisrael. B'agalah v'zman kariv imru amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabam Uvarach Leolam Ulmei El Maya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmid kudsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbichata v'nechemata. Ka'amiran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam Rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace upon us, upon all Israel and all the world. Let us say amen. And we're going to close our service this evening with Ein Kelohenu, a version written by Jonathan Goldstein. The words can be found in our supplement. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshinu. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshinu. Eloheinu, Michadonenu, Michamalkeinu, Mikamoshienu. Ein Eloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu. Eloheinu, no deladonenu, no delokeinu, no delamoshienu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Kamoshienu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Alkeinu, Atahu Kamoshienu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu. Ein Kamoshienu. Ein Kamoshienu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kijanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon inchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziad mitzrayim. Kivanu b'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, b'kol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'ratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat. L'chaim. At this time, I'd like to ask you to please, everybody, please unmute yourselves. We are back to our cacophonous motzi.
Asynchronous
Everybody together. 1, 2,
Two,
3.
three.
Baruch
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu,
Lechem min haaretz. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
There you go, Michigan.
Shabbat shalom.
There you go.
Good to see you, Sandy.
Have fun, Martin.
Thank you. Hi, Mindy.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, good. Shabbat shalom.
Everybody can hear you. Watch what you say.
That's right. Good to see
I
you,
have a word
Mindy.
Right back.
Like,
Jonathan.
Hi, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom.
Happy birthday, Martin.
Thank you.
Oh, this is how I was spotlighted.